Hey everyone, and welcome back to the SQL Server Series. This video is brought to you in reference to Joe Marach's SQL Server 2016 for developers. If you're interested in purchasing a copy of this book, then please follow the link in the description below. Up until this video, you have been using your SQL statements to work with the three most common data types: strings, numbers, and dates. Now, we are going to go more in depth in the different data types that are available with SQL and show some basic skills for working with them. Then you'll learn how to use some functions that will allow you to convert one data type over to another. A column data type specifies the kind of information a column is able to store. It also determines the type of operations that can be performed on that column. String data types are intended for storing a string of one or more characters. This could include letters, numbers, symbols, or special characters. Numeric data types are intended for storing numbers that can be used for mathematical calculations. These numbers can be stored in a variety of different formats. Temporal data types are used to store dates and times. They are often referred to as date time or date data types. So these are the four categories of the most commonly used data types in most production databases that are managed by companies. So these are the ones that we're going to focus on today. There are also several ANSI standard data types and SQL Server equivalents, as you can see here. And so we're going to be using some of these in our examples. And I wanted to bring this picture up here, that way you could visually see, some of the ones that we're going to be using here. We're not going to use all of them because I want to try to keep this very basic and easy to understand. But we are going to use some of them. First, let's talk about integer data types. The integer data types are used to store whole numbers, which are numbers without any digits to the right of the decimal point. These 5 integer data types differ in the amount of storage they use and the range of values they can store. Notice that the big int and small int data types can store positive or negative numbers, and in contrast, the tiny int and bit data types can store only positive numbers or 0. These data types have a fixed decimal point, which means that the number of digits to the right of the decimal point doesn't vary. The number of digits a value has to the right of the decimal point is called its scale, and the total number of digits is called its precision. Notice that the many and small many data types have a fixed precision and scale. These data types are intended for storing units of currency. In contrast, you can customize the precision and scale of the decimal and numeric data types so they're right for the data to be stored. You're often going to find that decimal is the more commonly used data type. In contrast to the fixed point numbers stored by the decimal data types, the real data types are used to store floating point numbers. These data types provide for very large and small numbers, but with a limited number of significant digits. The real data type can be used to store a single precision number, which provides for numbers with up to 7 significant digits. And the float data type can be used to store a double precision number, which provided for numbers with up to 15 significant digits. I know a lot of this sounds confusing, but once you start working with these data types, everything will make more sense and you won't even worry about the explanations I'm providing you on them. You can use the character and end character data types to store fixed length strings. Data stored using these data types always occupies the same number of bytes regardless of the actual length of the string. These data types are typically used to define columns that have a fixed number of characters. You use the VAR character and NVAR character data types to store variable length strings. Data stored using these data types occupies only the number of bytes needed to store the string. They are typically used to define columns whose lengths vary from one row to the next. In general, variable length strings are more efficient than fixed length strings. The date and time data types differ by the amount of storage they use and the range of values they can store. These are the data types that were introduced with SQL Server 2008. If you want to store date values without storing a time component, you can use the date data type. This data type is appropriate for many date time values where the time component isn't necessary. For example, storing someone's birthday. Conversely, if you want to store a time value without storing a date component, you can use the time data type. The date time to data type combines the date and time data types into a single type that stores both a date and a time component. And the date time offset data type works like the date time to data type. However, this data type also stores a time zone offset that specifies the number of hours that the value is ahead or behind, and this is known as universal time coordinate. So I normally would go 10 to 15 minutes per video, but we are going to cut this one short due to the amount of information on data types that was just shared. So take some time and watch this video a few times, and in our next video we're going to learn how to convert a value with one data type to another data type. If you're interested in the next video, head on over to database-tutorials.com. Hit the like button on this video if you enjoy it. If you didn't, hit that unlike button. If you want automatic notifications when our next video is posted, simply hit the subscribe button. So thank you for watching, and see you next time.